Inside the epicenter of womanhood lies a dynamic, powerful lining shaping cycles, fertility, and life itself. Ladies and gentlemen, I am Steph Max, and this is the microscopic structure of the uterus, precisely the endometrium. Do well to follow my page and subscribe to my YouTube channel, like, comment, and repost my videos. So today's topic is all about the microscopic structure of the uterus, specifically the endometrium. The endometrium is the inner layer of the uterus that is composed of mucous membrane. So the mucous membrane is a layer of epithelial cells that lines various cavities in the body. So the epithelial cells too are just cells that produce mucus to trap pathogens and then foreign substances as well as particles in the layer. So basically the endometrium of the uterus is just composed of these epithelial cells in the mucous membrane, right? Okay, so under the endometrium we have the uterine endometrium and then the cervical endometrium. So let's pick the uterine endometrium and explain it further. Afterwards we move on to the cervical endometrium. So the uterine endometrium has two layers. We have the functional layer and the basal layer. Let's commence with the functional layer of the uterine endometrium. So the functional layer is also known as the stratus functionalis, and this layer thickens in response to the hormones progesterone and estrogen. So if pregnancy does not occur, this layer will shed off, which will result in the menstrual bleeding that we see. The next layer is the basal layer, which is also known as the uterus basalis, and this layer contains stem cells that aid in the regeneration and growth of the functional layer. So unlike the functional layer, this layer remains intact and does not change during the menstrual cycle. So let me cite an example for you guys to understand better. So let's say you are expecting a guest, right? Like pregnancy. You are going to lay a bed or prepare a bed, and then you arrange your room, clean up your room nicely. So let's say the bed is the basal layer and then the sheet or the bed sheet is the functional layer. So when the guest arrives, that is pregnancy. When pregnancy occurs, you are going to maintain the bed sheet, right? So the pregnancy is being maintained by the functional layer, and then the functional layer supports the pregnancy. But with the basal layer remains constant and does not change. So when the guest doesn't arrive, what do? You have to remove your sheets. This is when the functional layer is shed off as the menstrual cycle. So the next is the cervical. The cervical endometrium is less responsive to hormones, unlike the uterine endometrium. So the cervical endometrium also contains mucus secreting cells that produce mucus, and the quality and quantity of the mucus that is produced is under hormonal control. Aside that, the cervical endometrium also contains epithelial cells, but those cells over there are tall and columnar in shape. So that is all for the microscopic structure of the uterus, specifically the endometrium. We've treated the perimetrium, the myometrium already. In our next video, we are going to be talking about the support of the uterus. Until next time, stay informed, stay hydrated. Bye.